Hey, Professor McCullough here, and want to talk to you a little bit about cell formatting. A few subcategories of that, cell styles and conditional formatting, and you'll need to know how to work with all of those aspects of Excel in order to get through assignment number one. In order to teach it today, I pulled up a spreadsheet that you might recognize from the first video, Judy's Mysteries. So some information about sales in 4 different bookstores and the different types of mystery books that they sell. Anyway, we're focused exclusively on formatting, so the content almost doesn't matter. Most of you are probably savvy enough with Microsoft products that you realize you can change the formatting manually by, if you want to change the font color, you can go up here, make the font color black instead of white. That's hard to see against a purple background. So let's change the fill to like a light blue. That looks all right, I suppose. Obviously, you can do things like change the font size, make it larger, make it smaller. You have the larger and smaller font buttons here, so let's put it back roughly where it was. Anyway, I think most people know how to deal with all of these tools available to you that allow you to change the font size and the appearance. Oh, maybe we should talk about this button. This button is borders, and if you click on it, it allows you to insert different borders, inside borders, outside borders, top borders, bottom borders. It's all pretty straightforward. You just have to know where to find that button. It's right here. So, oftentimes you'll want to use one of the predefined cell styles rather than trying to guess at something that looks good. The designers at Microsoft have come up with some things that look pretty nice, give you a consistent palette of cell styles that you can choose from. So the cell styles button is here. You highlight on the cells that you want to change, and you click down, and here you have themed cell styles, and they're kind of different base categories like a dark blue, a dark red, a dark green. These are all called accent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a 6 there. It's kind of bleeding off the video. And so you can select one of those. Let's make it red with a white background. That's called accent 2. And there it is. And maybe that's a little too dark. You can also do subcategories. 40% accent 2 means it's 40% is dark, so it's more of a pink shade, and the font also changes to black if you do that. So anyway, there's lots of predefined styles that look pretty nice, and you are free to choose from those. We'll just leave that here for now. A more interesting thing to do is called conditional formatting, and conditional formatting allows us to highlight certain information that might be relevant based on the task that we are trying to carry out. Like maybe we're rethinking our business model at this bookstore and we realize that some books are maybe just not selling as well as others. Maybe there's whole categories of books that are not selling as well as others. So how can we identify that? Well, maybe we want to say that if any of our categories of mysteries, Victorian, police procedurals, thriller, or espionage books, if any of those aren't selling at least 10% of our overall sales, then maybe we just don't want to include them in our store. They're just taking up space. So obviously we can eyeball that and say, oh, okay, doesn't look good for espionage, but imagine we're dealing with a more complicated model. And we wanted to highlight those categories of books that don't meet that criteria of constituting 10% of our total. As always, we highlight on the relevant cells. We want to explore the values in these 4 cells, which are the percent of total for all 4 categories. And then we go up here, conditional formatting, And since we're looking to highlight cells that match our criteria, we go to Highlight Cells Rules. And let's see, one of our options is greater than, one is less than. We are concerned with less than. Notice we also have between, equal to. There's all sorts of ways that we can have Excel identify cells that match particular criteria. But our criteria here is that their value is less than 10% of the overall sales. So we go with less than, then we get another menu here. We can ignore the style, we don't need to worry about that. It says format only cells that contain a cell value that is less than, and we just want it to be 10%. 10%, of course, can be represented as the decimal 0.10. That's a 0. There we go. And how do we want it to appear? We can choose from a couple of different options. Let's do a green fill with dark green text. Why not? And we click OK. And boom, we called it out. Espionage books not pulling your weight. Coming in at only 6.4, and see how it highlights to make it easy to identify. Pretty useful tool. So put it to use. You need to do it at least once in assignment 1, and I'm sure several times in future assignments. So that's how you do it. Good luck with assignment 1.